Can't believe that 100 weeks ago, the world as we all knew it changed. The global pandemic halted travel and forced us to adapt our strategy, but not our intention. Londolozi wanted to be sure that no matter where you were in the world, a small part of the Londolozi wilderness would come and find you. Led by our alumni guide, James Tyrrell, we began our Virtual Safari series, which today enters its 100th iteration. So many of you have been with us every step of the way, and it has been a huge privilege to share this special place with all of you. So thank you for following our journey through the ups and downs, and as travel begins to return, we hope to see a few more of you in person. Let us take a moment to celebrate the Virtual Safari and how it has brought more wilderness into the world, and I'm excited to see what the future of Virtual Safari holds. And we start off our 100th iteration of the Virtual Safari with one of the Birmingham males who's currently lying on the airstrip at Londolozi. It's broad daylight and he's found himself coming through the entire reserve. We believe he may have stolen a kill from the Shimungwe female this morning, and he's now settled down here, and it's a very warm afternoon and he's lying on the tarmac, probably one of the hottest places you could be on the entire property at the moment. He's got a very full belly, and by lying out in the open it's pretty hot here, so I'm sure he's going to move at some point. There's a pan just down to our right here, and it's quite likely that he may go for a drink there at some point. And because he's now by himself, we believe that his brother has passed on, because we're no longer hearing him call. And if he was calling, that would mean that his brother is probably alive and they were trying to meet up. But now, because he hasn't been calling, we believe that he is alone. It's unlikely that he will call going forward, because that's just advertising to the Nzenga males in the east, Plains Camp males in the west, and the Northern Avoca males in the north, that he is here and he's by himself, and he doesn't want to draw any unwanted attention to him. But it's amazing just to see this male, just to see what condition he's in. We haven't seen him for a good few weeks. He had ventured a bit further south with the Nsevu sub-adults, but now he's made a return back here because they've pushed even further south into Sabi Sabi and Lion Sands, which is also going into the Nzenga males' territory. They're probably moving away, just trying to establish their own territory down there. So he's up and he's moving, and he's walking straight towards where that waterhole is. So let's get there and hope he goes for a drink. So after his drink, the pan behind us, which was amazing, he's just settled down to the side of the pan here, lying right on the edge of the thicket. And you can see that there's some flies that are really irritating him. He's thrashing his tail around, trying to chase them away, snapping up into the air, trying to bite
a month or two to live.
It must be pretty annoying. Some of these flies do actually bite.
10 or 11 months. Look at this, look at it hip. Yeah, he just hung around.
I'm sure it's a matter of time before he gets up and tries to plonk himself down in the middle of the grass there, because in having the grass over his face will help sort of chase the flies away. For him to be all the way back up here in what we presume this to now be the Nzanga Male's territory all by himself is pretty risky, but because of the condition he's in, it's impressive. And if he's able to go after the Nzanga Males one by one, I think he'll definitely have the upper hand. However, if it's one versus the 4 Nzanga Males, then he doesn't stand a chance. So it's just going to be interesting to see exactly how it unfolds going forward from here. He's still a formidable lion and will definitely be able to hold his own for the next few months if he's able to stay out of harm's way or avoid the Nzanga Males. So after his drink, he's now come and lay out in the open here. You can see he's still very agitated with these flies. We thought he was going to stop off in some of the thicker vegetation, which he did. He passed through there, and about 2 minutes later he's now popped out into the open. So I'm sure he's going to keep thrashing around trying to chase these flies away, but the sad reality is these flies aren't going to be going anywhere. He can't necessarily get rid of them or change anything about it. So it's just a frustration he's going to have to deal with until the sun sets, and then the flies settle and we'll go and land somewhere else and leave him alone for the evening. After waiting the entire afternoon, after he had a drink, for him to do something, hoping that he might go back onto the airstrip and we could get some perfect backlit shots there, he's actually got up, walked off into the thick vegetation behind us here and lay down. So our hopes of anything backlit in there are crushed. So I think what we're going to do is just leave him for the evening, head back to camp. We'll come back through here tomorrow morning hoping to see what he gets up to. So we just managed to find the Birmingham Male again in the exact same spot that we left him yesterday. He's got a buffalo kill in there. He's got up now as soon as we got here, and he's gone off back towards that wallow where he had a drink yesterday. So fingers crossed he's going to have another drink. Amazing. So after his drink, he's come out and settled down right on the edge of the clearing here. His buffalo kill is right behind me in the bush there. Very hard to see it, but it looks like it's a young buffalo. And we heard from the rangers yesterday that a herd of buffalo wasn't too far from here, but moving in this direction. And so by looking at that kill, it looks as though he must have killed it in the early hours of this morning, and he's fed on quite a bit of it. He's eaten a lot of the internal organs. It's packed with a lot of nutrients, so that's often where they go for first. He dragged it underneath a bush behind us, and that's going to hope to keep the vultures from seeing it, because if the vultures see it, they're going to start descending, and as they descend, other predators, hyenas, possibly some other lions, will see those vultures, and then they'll come across to investigate what's going on here, and that's going to draw some unwanted attention towards this male. Phenomenal to see him out in the open yesterday on the airstrip, going down for a drink. This morning, the fact that he's made a buffalo kill and then going for another drink in the exact same place has just been unbelievable to see. He's just going to rest and let himself digest what he's eaten, He's in a nice shady spot there, but as the sun comes up a bit further, that shade is going to be reduced and he's going to then probably look to move into the shade behind us. And I'm sure he'll then go and feed at some point, probably in the next hour or so, once he's digested and made a bit more space in his belly. So finally he's got up and come across for a feed. He's been sitting waiting for quite some time, but now he's dragged the kill slightly. You can probably see him in the background there, and he's just feeding on whatever's left of the internal organs, as well as it sounds like crunching through some of the bones. That's probably the part of the pelvis that he's feeding on. But this is going to keep him satiated for quite some time, and he's already got a very full belly and he's just starting to feed now, so I'm sure he's going to be around here for the rest of today, probably a bit of tomorrow. And by being close to the airstrip, it's nice and open as well, so he is able to lie out here, listen out for any danger, see any danger coming. And this is just a perfect example of male lions actually do hunt themselves. Most of the time they rely on the females in order to make a kill, especially a bigger kill like a buffalo, wildebeest, zebra. But it doesn't count them out from actually being able to hunt and kill something themselves. Where we left him last night was under the exact same bush, and he was probably just resting there. The herd of buffalo came moving through the area, and he then launched an attack and managed to grab hold of one of them. Thankfully, I think for him it was quite a small herd of buffalo, so they wouldn't have been able to rally together and drive him off of it. But on top of that, he must have killed it in the thicker vegetation here, because there's no drag mark in the grass or along the road here for us to see where he has dragged it from. So he must have waited for the buffalo to walk into the thicker vegetation and then gone from there. At least we backed ourselves and knew to come and have a look in the same place as last night, and we found him and had a pretty spectacular sighting. We're going to carry on for the morning, see what else we can find. It's a cool, dark, cloudy morning, and we're sitting with the Nkua female. She was found with a pretty large carcass, one that was too big for her to be able to drag up into a tree and hoist to get away from hyenas. As we were arriving in, we saw a number of vultures circling, and as they sort of start circling around, they're looking for any carcasses that they can then feed on. And often when they start circling, and as soon as they see something, they'll come down and land in the trees. And so as we got here, she was up in the tree. And she's come down straight away because she's seen the vultures circling, and what she started to do is try and cover the carcass with some sand, some grass, some leaves, anything just to try and hide it from the vultures. And I mean, I've always heard and read about this, always questioned how effective it was, but in this particular situation it looks like she's been hugely successful, because we could see the vultures circling above here. She's managed to cover it pretty successfully, and obviously that's enough to try and keep the vultures away, because they've cruised on off and we can no longer see them anymore. After she's covered the carcass, she's moved off to the side and has settled down about 50-60 meters away. And that's obviously because she's now worried that the vultures may have attracted some attention from other predators, and she doesn't want to be caught by surprise being too close to the carcass, because the smell of it as well will also draw in any hyenas, lions, and possibly other leopards. And so she's now separated herself away from it, going upwind, and so she's able to then keep a good close eye out in case anything does arrive here. But we don't want to put any extra pressure on her. We're going to leave her here